The only thing that really is different between us,
Yeah.
you have a little bit more hair.
Like I say, it's not great. It doesn't grow in even. But anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
There's some more hair on your body. Not just facial, I'm guessing,
It doesn't look good on the chest either. But go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. For those who are steeping with us at home, our steepers, our steepy people.
Nice.
I don't know what we have,
Steepy pee. No, that doesn't
I
work.
probably wouldn't use that. What we are drinking, it is called Tea Short. It is by the brand Hella Tea. Annick just looked down the barrel. I love it. Tea Short by Hella Tea. Hella Tea, we've had this, not this specific tea, but Hella Tea before on the podcast. Mm-hmm. It is a Bay Area based tea company. It is woman owned. It is black owned. Please go support it. It is so great. And they name all their teas after things in the Bay. Tea Short is named after Too Short, who is a rapper out of the Bay Area.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and this is an herbal tea. So for those drinking at home, I would say it's probably, I would do about a teaspoon a cup. And I with herbals, this is a judgment-free tea zone, so kind of steep as you want. But I steeped this one for about 7 minutes. But you could probably do between like 5 and 10.
Are you a tea drinker also outside of this podcast?
Every day.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you wake up, no coffee, just tea.
What's really interesting is that there's this weird divide of people who are like, you're either tea or you're coffee. And I'm like, no, like I enjoy a good latte. I had a latte this morning.
Okay.
But I also knew I was going to get tea with you this evening. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have my tea fix. But like tomorrow, for example, I might start with a black tea to start my day because I really enjoy black tea. And then maybe do like, an herbal or like a genmaicha, which is super low caffeine.
I think you might be the only person that has ever told me that. Like I literally only know people who go, yeah, it's going to be coffee in the morning or it's going to be tea. Like there's I've never met anybody who's like, I'll figure it out in the morning. Either it's coffee or maybe it's tea.
Well, so for you, you have an Nalgene that you brought with you here that has tea in it. Not that we're drinking that right now, but you have tea in there. But then we also were talking about coffee earlier.
Yeah.
You seem like you're a me.
No. I totally get the people who like drink coffee and tea.
Yeah.
But in the morning,
in the morning you're coffee exclusively.
It's either coffee or tea. People, I feel.
Which are you?
Well, coffee.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Are you one of those people? I bet you're one of these people. Are you one of those people who can have like 3 shots? You could do cold brew or whatever, and then you're totally fine in the afternoon?
Oh no, I can drink coffee. Any amount, any intensity, I'm going to be fine. I mean, at some point, I get like sleepy. Yeah. Like it's too much. I don't get giddy. I get very like sleepy and almost depressed. I feel like when yes. I blame every time I'm depressed. I'm like, it's the coffee,
Oh my God.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah.
I don't know because I haven't been drinking coffee every minute of the day for the past 2 years, so I don't know if that's what's doing it. But I don't know. But
no excuse.
I wanted, before I jump into the travel, just for the people listening at home, wanted to tell them about you. Okay. You are probably one of my favorite people that I've met in my comedy travels. We met now I don't remember the exact venue. I know we met in the Bay, and that's actually the reason I chose Hella Tea is because we met for the first time in the Bay.
Meet?
I don't know. But I know that, I think we were already friends when I did your show.
Oh yes, for sure.
What was it called? Something half?
Close-up comedy.
Close-up comedy.
Yeah.
What was the name of that cafe?
Matching half.
Matching
you got
half.
You got it.
I don't remember where I met you, but I just know I immediately, like, right off the bat, felt like I'd known you for a long time.
I remember us meeting in LA at some open mic.
And
then we both kind of bombed.
That sounds right. I'm like, that sounds accurate. Yeah,
that's what you do
yeah,
at
100%.
mics in LA. And we just chatted afterwards, and you were just refreshingly professional about it. You were just like, all right, I got, you have your Excel sheet.
Oh my God.
That you brought. And
you're calling me out. Yeah.
No, I don't know. You can cut it if you want
no,
to.
I'll tell everybody. Yeah, go ahead.
And I was just so mesmerized about that. You seemed like somebody who has totally got it down.
Oh gosh.
Like I have the Excel sheet. I know which punchline I'm gonna try next, and I have these and these mics lined up. Like you had a plan, and I was just going, all right, what mic should I do next? Kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then you were just so approachable and so nice. And in
Very
LA,
sweet.
you know that there's a lot of people who might be nice, but you never know whether that's actually true.
Well, that's because here you're like, are they nice to me because I'm making this up? Like, are they nice because I have a show? Or are they nice to me because I write for television or whatever? You don't know. Obviously, we met here, but I want to say maybe 6 months before the pandemic hit. Is that when you went to Berlin?
I went to Berlin in May of 2020.
Oh, you in the middle of the pandemic?
In the middle of the
Berlin.
pandemic,
From here. Okay, yep.
I had torn my ACL. I was on crutches. Yeah, right before the pandemic, everything came together for me. Tore the ACL by climbing in a free climbing gym right before a show. Fell from what's the equivalent of 3 meters.
Did you do the show? You must not have done
Oh, fuck yeah. Yes, I did.
I love how you could curse if you want to.
I can?
Yeah,
okay.
if you want to.
In a minute, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was like, first of all, I didn't know it was torn. Okay. It was hurting like hell, but it didn't snap. It didn't do, usually when a ligament snaps, it makes a sound and it snapped.
Sure.
But it didn't do any of that. So I was like, oh yeah, it's just going to be, a little swollen and because it just bent, like 90 degrees.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was gross. And so I was like, all right, I'll just get crutches from the bouldering place. And I just literally hopped over to Flappers where I had the show. And I came up with the crutches on stage, and people thought it was a prop. And people thought I was joking. And I was like, no, I'm not, this is it. And I did my set, and it was funny, and it was good. And then 6 weeks after the fact, I was like, maybe I should actually go see a doctor. This isn't getting...
Hold on. Did you say 6 weeks or 6 days?
No, 6 weeks.
What is wrong with you?
But because I thought, what's the doctor going to say? He's going to just go, put it up, ice it, and just don't, mess with it for a while.
Because obviously you're a doctor, so you're like, I got it.
Well, as we now know, in the pandemic, we all became virologists and doctors and everything.
That's true.
So
I got my degree,
that was kind of me. And also, I didn't have health insurance. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to duck it.
Oh, no. Yeah, our health insurance here is crazy. Yeah.
But I did have an accident insurance because I knew if something's going to happen, it's going to be an accident. So luckily, I had accident insurance. But because I waited 6 weeks, they didn't cover the...
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I just don't know what to do with you. So
I know. I even went on tour with it. Like I went to Arkansas, to Oklahoma, to Kansas, and did the road.
Were you driving?
No.
Thank God.
I know.
How were you getting these? You were flying?
I was flying there and then meeting the headliner. I was the feature. He was driving me around.
Okay, so you didn't have to mess too much with your leg on that. I mean, you were walking on stage, but you didn't have to do a lot of like crazy transportation work to get.
Yeah, but in a airport with because you can't schlep anything. You have to put everything.
You're walking through the airports and
so at some point I was like, yeah, I'm going to be the grandma in the wheelchair for a while now. I did that. You did
wheelchairs at the airport?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Which was the best idea, and I didn't do it for a long time, dude. I had arms. I was never this buff. Like I was because I had a backpack and it was terrible idea. And then I had to get surgery, and with COVID, they were just postponing all the non-essential surgery, dates. And I was like,
because I was going to ask,
I think I'm going to get it now.
I'm not great at this kind of knowledge, but like, and you're about to laugh because I should know this. The ACL, is that when you tear it, the kind of thing where you can get surgery or you can opt not to and it will just be? No, you can't. You have to get surgery.
It's the one that's crossed like behind your knee. So it literally holds this leg in place. So my leg was up kind of like here.
Oh my gosh. So you need
yeah, you
okay.
can't walk on it.
And your surgery was in LA and kept getting pushed out.
Yeah. No, it was scheduled, but I was super nervous it was going to get pushed out. And I was probably the last one that got the ACL. Yeah. It was crazy cuz this was in February No, in March. 17th of March is when I had my.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That was right in the
Yeah,
heat.
yeah. So, and I was also like, okay, am I gonna get COVID? But then my knee is fixed. You know, like, what do I
Interesting
choose?
trade-off. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I was like, I'm going for the knee. So I was out of commission in my bed. Couldn't go anywhere anyway.
I was gonna say there's nowhere to go. Yeah, but could you even prepare food for yourself?
I could barely get out of bed, and that was the problem. Nobody could come cook for me or help me. And I had so many nice people that would just drop off food in front of my door.
I would have done that. I don't think I even knew this was happening.
No, it's all good. Thank you, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then when it kind of healed, I was like, okay, am I even getting back on a flight to Europe because they were canceling all the flights? And luckily in May,
yes, they were.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I'm like living this right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've totally forgot. How did you get out?
So I was thinking I'm gonna rush out before the whole, and then but then I was like, I have an ACL surgery. I cannot rush. So I'm just gonna wait it out a little bit. And I waited like 2 months until May to heal at least a little bit. And then by then there were actually flights again. Not a lot.
I was gonna say they couldn't have been a lot. And it
And
had to be cheap.
Super cheap.
Yeah.
Of course I was going like not first class, but premium economy. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, get that leg up.
Get that leg up. And so and then I was in Europe and
did you start in Berlin? Did you go directly to Berlin or did you hit a couple of spots before you settled in Berlin?
You mean when I arrived and during the pandemic?
Yeah, when you decided, you're like, all right, in May I'm flying to Europe. Was your thought I'm flying to Berlin and that's where I'm going to stay, or was your thought I'm going to fly to Europe? I don't really care where, and just kind of figure out where I want to be.
Oh no, I lived in Berlin before I moved to the States.
So you were very familiar with Berlin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love Berlin.
That's great.
It has a good comedy scene now.
Yeah.
You know, English and German speaking comedies. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to Berlin. And I didn't think it was going to get back up because the pandemic, but then in June, I want to say June 1st, they because Germany had really good numbers the first wave. I don't know if you remember.
I do remember that.
And so they just opened up everything, and we had live shows, limited capacity, okay, but live shows up until November. I would do shows every night, English and German was so weird. Because, I'm German, but I'm also in the States for 8 years, but I don't know what that makes me anymore. And I'm
whatever you want to be. Makes you unique.
Yeah.
And unique.
Oh, yes. That is so funny. Oh, you're a comedian.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I hire me, everyone. Hire me. I'm looking right down the barrel.
Yes.
Anyway,
and so now I'm trying to play both markets, Europe.
Right now?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of also why I moved to New York, because it's not that far from Europe. So I'm going to try to...
I was wondering why you settled into New York because, it's interesting. Your style of comedy, notwithstanding the fact that you can do it in 2 languages. So let's take that out of the equation for a second. Mm-hmm. Your style of comedy kind of can work anywhere. So when you chose New York, my thought was like, oh, there's got to be a reason. Maybe you're trying to get closer to like late night writing gigs out there or something like that. But no, it was to be closer so you could be, bi-coastal is the wrong word, bi-country, bi-continental.
That's the idea.
Interesting.
Also, to be honest, I visited New York in September 2019, and it was like 10 days. I was doing 4 shows a night.
Oh my gosh.
Each 10 minutes. And that was completely possible because you could just take the train, as we as New Yorkers say.
Yeah,
the train. Yeah. I used to say metro. And
I caught you about to say that.
Yeah, and then people are like, train. I'm like, all right. So, and so I loved it. And it's a little closer to my, my culture, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
Than the West Coast. And so I just loved it. And you know how you have... Because when I moved here, I couldn't almost trust my humor and my instinct of what I thought was funny, because I was seeing a new culture and I was like, okay, I got to adapt to that. What do Americans find funny? Okay. This was going on in my head the entire time. And so when I was in New York, that went away. And I was like, oh, I can just fully trust what I find funny and then do that. And they find it funny too. And I was like, perfect. And that's when you when you're inspired and when you write on stage, right? You write literally, you try stuff and it works and you're like, hell yeah. And I'm doing this and this and that. And you get inspired. Whereas here or on the road, I would constantly be like, wait, so I got to tell them about me being German because accent. Do they even know Germany? Yeah, of course everybody knows Germany. But okay, how do I not just talk about the Holocaust and stuff like that? Because, you know what I mean? Like, I constantly was considering all this shit. In New York, that all went away. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm moving here. And that was even before the pandemic. And then in Europe, I had the same feeling because it's very international. Everybody is kind of, you know, from somewhere. And even English comedy, obviously, in Berlin is a lot of expats, you know. So,
Sure, I imagine, yeah.
yeah. So it got me into this, you know, where now I'm like, oh yeah, I can do comedy that I think is funny. So.
Were you, I mean, is the implication there that there were certain points where you were doing comedy where you're like, I don't think this is funny, but I think it's going to make people laugh?
I think so. I think I bend over backwards a couple times, you know, just to be like, I know they find it funny. I find it terrible, but gotta talk about it, I guess.
No, I get that. There are like clips of stand-up that go off on TikTok or go off on Instagram or whatever. If you write to the algorithms, it's not what you want to say, right? Like I'm working right now on about 15 straight minutes about my relationship with Jess because it, to me, it
tight
is
15.
Right now it's not super tight, but
Okay.
but I'm gonna tighten it back down and then add back up to it until it's tight, till it's a very compact, solid 15.
Okay.
Right now it's a little free flowing 15. Admittedly, but I do think about like that's what I'm working on now. I know factually when I go into certain rooms, that's not what they want to hear, right? They don't want to hear about, you know, the guy next door, white boy who's in a relationship and is talking about it. That's not really what they want to hear. But that is what I want to talk about right now. And I think that what that creates is that I'm never going to change what I want to say for them, but I am up to the challenge of helping them understand why this is funny and helping them find joy in what I'm saying.
It's such a fine line and such an interesting topic. By the way, I live for conversations like this.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something. I think you have to find something funny.
Absolutely.
For first and foremost. Otherwise, it's never going to fly because comedy to me is energy. If I find something funny, I'm creating this energy of like, oh man, this is going to... And then it translates. I'm not an actor, but I'm guessing that's the same in acting.
Sure.
If I'm going to be sad and I look into a camera, I'm going to be really sad, that emotion translates, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, to me anyway, that's how I figured it out. And so definitely that's the number one point. I'm always going to measure any jokes that I'm doing now against that standard. And the second point, for me, comedy, and we talked about this earlier, is all about how much are you going to share about you?
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there. You're talking about your relationship with your girlfriend. And the topics might not be relatable to everybody, but let's say they're all singles. Yeah.
Which has happened. Yep.
Which has probably happened and will always happen.
Always.
Or widowed or whatever, you know. But is it really so much about how you say goodnight to your girlfriend or whatever the joke is? Or is it about how Josh Lanzet, am I pronouncing this right?
Yeah, Lanzet. Yeah.
Lanzet, thinks about the world. Like, is it, what really comes through in a joke for me is your take on life. And to me, and you know I find you hilarious, is that you talk fast and you're self-conscious and you're doubting yourself all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's
I still do all of that. Yeah,
and that's
100% happening.
And that's the funny to me. And I'm sure it comes through in anything you talk about.
What's tough about that though, and I'm curious what your take on this is, because your energy on stage, in my opinion, is very positive. Okay. Like I find it very infectious. When I watch you, I find it very infectious. There's a joy to what you do. Mm-hmm. The challenge in having that, because I have a similar approach, is that when you want to start hitting on some darker topics, it presents a dissonance for audience members. So a really good example, okay? And not to get into like joke dissection, because I don't want to bore the hell out of all the tea drinkers out there. But there's a joke that I do where I talk about how when Jess and I have a fight, I secretly pray for a natural tragedy to occur in that moment so that we both get distracted so the fight ends. Okay? Which is like so ridiculous. Now,
That is so Josh. That's what I'm saying. Your personality comes across in just that joke.
but because people like you and me have a very positive, joyous energy on stage, you start turning dark and the whole room just sucks the air right out of it.
And what's the problem with that?
Well, there's no laugh at the end of that.
So?
It's a comedy show.
Well, you work on getting them back.
Yeah.
Listen, in my new album, which I'm sure we're also going to talk about, I talk about how the Holocaust affects German people and how we have a culture of remembrance. And I almost cried on stage, okay, because, I'm getting goosebumps again, because in Germany, you can't walk on any sidewalk without stumbling over what we call the actual stumbling stones. And they are stones on the pavement that are engraved with the names of the Holocaust victims, when they were born, when they were deported, and when they died. And the stones are in front of the residences where they last lived. So you see, oh God, I'm getting goosebumps. You see the name of the male and a female and then a younger person. And you kind of, in your mind, the story starts. When did he get deported? Oh, he was deported first. Okay, they survived a couple days later. And so you have this whole story, and then you're like, oh God, okay. You walk to the next building, and there's 6 other stones. You walk to the next building, there's 10 stones. You're like, fuck. You're crying.
Yeah, how can you not? Yeah.
And it's terrible, but it's so good because as Germans, we're very, very, very aware of this, and I don't want it to end. And when I came here. Not that I want to compare anything, but I was like, how do we remember the atrocities in this country? And there isn't a lot.
There are two. Well, the problem is there's so many of them that it's hard to catalog them.
And then how do you make that funny? When I talked about this cobblestone or stumbling stone thing, the whole room, like we just are in this moment of like, this whole heaviness, and you're Jewish, I'm German, and like it affects us and then I got myself out. Granted, it's not comparable to I wish some more tragedies happened, but it's a very serious topic.
That's a tough one.
But I want that. I want not just to talk about dick jokes and people like, oh, Annick was funny, and go home. I want them to go home and be like, oh shit, yeah, there's that. That's right. We have no museums on slavery. Why not? Oh, we have one. Yeah, but one,
Yeah. What's interesting is I think about a lot of that, so there's a big chunk of material I've started doing about masculinity and femininity.
Mm-hmm.
And my point that I make in having a lot of that discussion is that we have decided to align certain activities, foods, smells, clothes, on one line or the other.
Yep.
Now this is masculine or this is feminine.
Yep.
And what I've learned as I've gotten older is that everything that everyone says, oh, like that's girly, don't do that, that's so feminine, is awesome. Oh, something smells really nice. That candle is nice. Oh, well, hold on. If it's flowery or it's summery or it smells a little bit like maybe something clean, well, that's way too feminine.
And think about how much you have to be on guard with these, how much energy gets wasted with that stuff, where you could just be like, oh, this smells amazing. And I don't have to think, oh, is this too flowery?
Oh my, dating and living with a girl, I have more candles in this house than I've ever seen in my life. And can I tell you something? I like lighting them more than she does.
There you go.
Yeah. I lit one and she goes, did you light a candle? And I was like, it's white sage.
Also, it's very spiritual. We're very, like, look at the ancient cultures. There's always been fire and spiritual stuff. And I mean, I'm actually sad we lost it. And to your point of masculinity and femininity, one of the things I love in my gender journey for sure is that I never grew up with toxic masculinity.
Really?
How boys would,
Oh, I see.
As in, no, Josh, you can't light candles. That's a little feminine. Or, I don't know, grow up, grow a pair, don't cry, whatever narrative a lot of boys, I'm sure, have heard.
Yeah.
That make them into this, oh no, I can't like this, that's gay, and that's where.
Yeah.
I've never went through that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the opposite for me. I was raised as a girl,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So in a way, it was like, no, you gotta like candles. You gotta like.
So it's the opposite almost, where they're trying to push you in that direction.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I don't want to do that either.
No.
I don't want to be. I want someone to just be like, here are flowers, here are scents, here are pedicures, whatever the things are.
Yeah.
If you want it, go for it.
Listen, the only thing that really is different between us,
Yeah.
you have a little bit more hair.
I gotta tell you, it's not great. It doesn't grow uneven. But anyways, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
There's some more hair on
Yeah.
your body. Not just facial. I'm guessing,
It doesn't look good on the chest either. But go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
probably in parts where you don't want to have hair.
Yeah, yeah.
But and there's some more skin in some parts.
Sure.
That's about it.
100%.
You know what I mean? Are we really that different? I mean, I know that the brain is also a little different.
Oh,
like,
see, I wouldn't even know that. I believe you, but I wouldn't know anything about
like
that.
you know how they say men have more of a the field of vision is not as peripheral as it is for women.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why men are much more focused on, okay, this is here, and they don't see left and right, and women see everything, right?
Well, I think women see everything with everything. You know what I mean? It's my whole life.
I make a joke on that now, where I'm like, people with male energy, with a lot of male energy, they go to problem solving right away, right? Okay, problem, gotta solve it.
I have
Okay,
that. I
what
have
what
that
can we do?
problem.
Duk, 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 duk. You know, in your head, you're going 3 options. Duk, duk, duk. You list them all, and
I feel attacked right now. Go ahead.
and the woman goes, "No, you're not listening to me." And they repeat the problem, and all they want to hear is just, "That sounds rough. Tell me more." That's it.
Can I tell you what we do in this household? I swear to God, this is true.
Tell me.
Okay. In this household, when Jess is upset, I think she'd be fine with me sharing this. When Jess is upset, I say to her, are we in venting mode or solution mode?
Oh, I love
And then
it.
she'll tell me. Now, I will admit, I've been guilty of once when we're in venting mode, occasionally trying to steer the car towards
It's
solution
so
mode.
tempting.
It's so tempting.
Oh, we can't not do it.
The other day, this was happening, and I tried to just like push the car a hint, and I mean, Jess saw that wheel turn even a centimeter and goes, no, and I was like, no, you're right. I tried to turn it. I should probably just sit in the passenger seat.
I think it's all about rephrasing. This is how I solved it in my head.
Yeah,
You solve her problem by listening to her.
that's incredible. That's incredible.
It's venting. So her problem is she needs to vent.
That is an incredible reframing that I have been on this earth for 30 plus years and I have not considered that. Well, we can wrap up the podcast now.
No.
I do want to take this opportunity to get. We are so delinquent on the first segment. I feel terrible.
Yes.
We will cue the music now and post. For those who are listening at home, this is the new and friend game. It's like the newlywed game, but we're friends. I am going to ask you a question. We are both going to write down our answers. We'll flip our boards on the count of 3 and see if we have the same answer. If we do, we get a point. And then we will do a question for me. And then we will flip our boards and see if we have the same answer.
All right.
So you spent a lot of time in Berlin. I've been to Berlin as well. My question for you is, if I had not been to Berlin, I was going to Berlin, what if I could only do one thing? What is the one thing you are recommending that I do? It could be eat a certain food, a certain restaurant, do an activity, any of these things.
Oh, okay. I'll go with this.
I'm going to write this. I don't think you wrote this, but I'm going to explain why I thought you would say this.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to start?
So we'll flip your board on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I love that answer. So Annick's answer was eat currywurst, which I didn't write. I wrote the Berlin Wall tour, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I wrote the Berlin Wall tour because I did the Berlin Wall tour. And what I thought was really interesting about that tour was that it gave me some history about that place, but also helped me understand a lot of the culture that has kind of been built from the Berlin Wall and a lot of the things that informed like the areas of Berlin that I was in. I hung out for a while, and I'm going to forget the name. It started with an F, I think.
Friedrichshain.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's kind of more the hipster area, right? So I was spending some time there, and I learned how the Berlin Wall falling contributed to that culture. So I know someone like you who is kind of, I would call you almost like an anthropologist enthusiast. Like, I think you really are interested in the way people live and kind of the things about a culture.
True.
So that's why I went with this.
That's a very good answer.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
I know, but the reasons are the similar. Okay, my answer is eat currywurst because if you would come to Berlin, I would want you to get to the bottom of Berlin culture.
Okay.
And understand the people. And it's not just about the food in this instance, but the currywurst stands are like, they're these completely rundown, shitty stands. And
I'm sure they would love you describing it like that too.
No, they do,
Yeah.
And it's scrappy food, but they don't give a shit, and that's the culture there. Berlin culture is very much like, oh yeah, I don't give a shit like that. But then also this I fall in love with Berlin because it's these non-typical, things you see, and those currywurst stands are just one of them. They're in the funniest places, and they just look great, and outdoor spaces, and you're like, oh shit, this is amazing graffiti everywhere, like that. And so you would actually like jump right into the Berlin culture, and that's what I would want for you. So it's kind of the same.
Well, so I'm gonna write down. Okay, so we're gonna do what I'd recommend in Berlin. I don't think you're gonna get this.
Okay, I went literally with the most. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Oh, you're already ready.
Oh shit!
A Brandenburger tour. What is that?
It's the big Arc de Triomphe of Berlin.
Oh, I did see that. I 100% saw that. I
was gonna write Berghain. That was my second one.
So I went to a beer garden in a big park in Berlin, and I don't remember. So I wrote beer garden outdoors, and the reason I wrote that is because I went to do that just because like people are like, well, you should do that. I'm like, okay. There were a bunch of actual Germans who were there hanging out, and I just like walked up to a table and was like, hi, like, what's up, and whatever. And I was expecting them to just be like, don't talk to me. They were very nice. They gave me, recommendations on like a good beer they liked. Went and talked to the bartender. He was really friendly. And I just like sat outdoors and just like took in my surroundings. And it was beautiful. And and I just kind of like people watched, and I was like, it felt like having like a sneak peek into what Berlin was like to people who live there. And it was so lovely.
I love that.
So that's why I said that. Now, do you know what I wrote under it?
Oh, of course I know what the Kit Kat Club is.
Okay.
I have been to the Kit Kat Club.
I have also been to the Kit Kat Club.
Do you want to explain what it is?
Okay, so the Kit Kat Club, I mean, one might call it like a sex club. I think is that the technical term for it?
I think it's just called a club, and in Berlin, that just means that there is going to be sex.
I have a friend who from college who was living in Berlin, and we said, hey, we'd like to go out to a club. And he said, oh, you got to go to Kit Kat Club, but he doesn't tell us. Anything
I
about
was
Kit Kat
hoping
Club.
I was hoping that's going to happen.
Yeah, we had no idea. Here's all he tells us. He says, okay, in Germany, clubs, you need to be like aware of how to get into a club in Germany. And I was like, oh, I figure you just wait in line. And he goes, no. He goes, dark clothes. Do not wear anything bright, happy. Don't wear any of that. Don't smile while you're in line.
Yeah.
Do not smile at the bouncer. Do not smile at your friends.
Don't even look at them.
He said, when you get up to the bouncer, all you do is you let him ask for your ID. You show it. Don't smile. Don't make small talk.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You do anything that I just told you not to do, you will not get in.
It's true.
Now, I'm thinking he's lying. The guy in front of us is wearing like a gingham plaid shirt, like white and blue. I think it was. And he's in front of us and he's joking with his buddy, having a good old time. Gets to the bartender, goes, hey, how's it going? I couldn't place his accent, but it was non-American. He's like, hey, how's it going? What's up? So excited to be here. And the bouncer looks at him and goes, no. And just points away. And he goes, oh, my friend's already in there. He goes, we'll tell them you're not coming in.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
We walk in to this place. And at first it seems super normal. There's a coat check.
Wait, they let you walk in with clothes?
Yes.
Wow.
So we walked in.
Lucky.
I was wearing a black Henley, dark jeans, and Converse. So it's all really dark.
Good.
I walk in. They're like, you can check your coat and clothing here. And I was like, because no one, I was like, what? And I'm like, okay, here's my coat.
Did no one in front of you in the line, take off their clothes?
Not at this point.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like, I give them my coat and they go, do you want to check anything else? Now I don't know what's going on yet. So I go, no. And same with my friends. They're like, no. We go in and I'm like, and it's very like, it's almost like strobing. So you can't really see a lot of what's going on. And I say, I'll go get us drinks. So I walk up to the bar. And I literally, if you're not, for those who are not watching at home, you're not really going to get this. But for those watching, you're going to see exactly what happened. I did this. Oh, may I have? Nope. And I just look right up. I immediately look up to the ceiling because this bartender is topless in a thong. Just thong, shoes, nothing else. And I am like so caught off guard. I am looking so hard at the ceiling. My neck might have snapped. I am just like staring into the sky. Like and I'm like trying to like make like conversation. I'm like, so what beers do you have? And she goes, well, you can see what's on tap right here. I'm like, I'll just take your word for it. Maybe that one.
It was a female bartender.
Yes.
You did not say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a female bartender. Yeah.
Oh shit.
And, yeah. So so her boobs are just right in front of me. And again, I had no warning this was happening.
So you're like, what the fuck is this?
I was so confused.
You're like, all right, that's just her. And then you go into the rest of the club.
Oh, don't even get me started. I finally get the beers. I make very intense eye contact with her because I don't want to look. I feel like it's rude, you know? I don't want to look at her chest. It's So I make eye contact with her. I turn and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I see in 2 seconds of turning 3 different naked men just swinging their material all around.
Really?
Oh my gosh. And I'm just like, ha. And one of my friends who comes up to me, he goes, so you're not going to believe this. I go, is it about this place? Are you going to tell me something about this place? Cause I'll believe it. And he goes, I think I just saw 2 people having sex. I'm like, you did. You definitely did. We found out that we were in, for all intents and purposes for our, for as far as we went, a sex club. And we ended up having a good time. Like, we danced, we hung out. I went and like climbed up to this upward section and like danced in this cage above the whole dance floor. It was very fun. But I will tell you, it was the most scary experience of my life. I've never had that much nudity and sex thrown in my face when I was not at all prepared. And I just felt like a Puritan. I was like, oh, I can't look at your boobs. Like I was like, keep them away.
After a while, were you not getting accustomed to it and be like, all right, it's just skin, whatever?
Yeah, I got a little more used to it over time, and there was definitely some social lubricant involved where I was having some beers and I felt a little more comfortable. But it definitely took me a second to be like,
oh yeah,
because my immediate thought was when I saw that bartender, oh my gosh, I shouldn't look. That's so inappropriate.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's almost more inappropriate to make a thing of it than to just be like, this is what's happening, and it's all good. And she has a job. She's serving drinks, and order a drink. Don't be weird.
She wouldn't do it if she didn't like it, or if she wasn't okay with it, I guess. You know what I mean?
And even more so, I was like, me being weird isn't helping me, and it's certainly not helping her.
No, I hear you. And I think, but with your upbringing in America, with nudity isn't a thing here at all.
No, you can see on TV, in American TV, you could watch someone get the side of their head blown out by a shotgun. But if you see a quarter of a nipple, then the police come. You know what I mean?
It's so weird, right? And so this is Berlin, right? They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They just do whatever they want. Like you'll see a lawyer next to a stripper, and they're just dancing. It's just having fun.
But that's how it should be, right?
Exactly.
But I think I am. It's funny. A lot of people tend to forget that America was founded by a puritanical group of individuals. Like that is. So a lot of us are unaccustomed to that idea.
I know. I get it.
And it makes me. It disappointed me in myself that like I had such like a reaction of like, oh my God, look away, But like I think if someone had told me ahead of time like, hey, this is what the story is, I would have been like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But like I think I was so caught off guard that I.
I just love see Americans come to Europe and get that feeling of like, chill, it's fine, we're good, because if I were in America and I would just all of a sudden, jump into in a pool naked, people would be like, oh, what? No, this is not okay, and everybody would be outraged, right? But if Americans come to a country where everybody's doing it, then all of a sudden they relax into this. Oh, okay, this is possible too. And they accept it, and I love it because it takes away of this intensity.
I
you know?
hate that. I hate that I have that.
I know, but you were grown up, you were brought up like that, conditioned with this globe-trotter, generation that we are. We can go anywhere. The internet shows you everything. I hope that this stuff goes away where, we're too this or to that. Like, I'm German. I came here.
Yeah.
I have an attitude. I was brought up German, right? So in a way, my thinking has always been, okay, I'm going to give you advice. That's Germans.
Is that a German thing?
Oh, unsolicited advice to everything. So not just fixing problems, which is my male energy, I guess, but also giving unsolicited advice. Terrible. Like,
I don't feel like you've ever done that. I mean, I ask for your advice a lot, but I don't think that you've ever just been like, here's advice and you're going to take it. Like,
I fight it very hard.
Do you really?
Well, because when I came here, you guys don't do that at all. And
we smile too much. That's our problem. It's a very American thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, a first like album that a comedian records obviously can't be 6 hours, right? So like you can't cover everything.
Right.
But did you have the chance or the interest in talking about any of that stuff?
When you start, you have all these jokes, you're not super proud of them. And
what a way to phrase that. Maybe they're not the greatest things you've ever written, sure.
When I started comedy, I swore myself I will never talk about being German. I will never talk about being a woman, which, okay, bygones, but and I will never talk about being gay because I hate people doing that.
So you took those three and you said immediately right off the bat, they're out.
Because when I watch people doing that, I go, oh God, here we go.
Because does it feel pandering? Is that what it feels like? Or it feels cheap? Does it feel easy?
Yeah, easy. I
easy.
think.
Okay. So you were like, those three out.
I think they're it's most of the time stereotypical, most of the time non-interesting.
I'll give you that. Yeah. It's hard to have a unique take on any of those three things, that differentiates enough that it's like a killer joke.
And like we said in the beginning, when you start, you're not that good at joke writing first.
Yeah.
And then also you kind of try to cater to the people. And when you go, especially when you go on the road, I can't be, hey, people in, whatever state. By the way, I know you remember Germans differently, but now we have actually, in Berlin, we have this and we have currywurst, and the beer gardens and the Kit Kat. I can't do that. They're going to be like, what? A, we don't know Germans. B, the only thing we know about Germany is Hitler. And that's it, And so
you play to the room.
You kind of do in the beginning and you're like, ugh, this is terrible. But to answer your question, in the album, I haven't gotten to the deeper level yet, but part of me wanting to do an album is so that I kind of put a couple of check marks on introducing, being from Germany, being a lawyer by training, the gender topics, right? Starting with them. And so that my hope is on the second album that I'll do, I can touch on, a level deeper of the complexities
Interesting.
of, nationalities and stuff. But yeah, I don't think I was able or even prepared enough to do that yet on the first album.
So, I mean, correct me if I'm mischaracterizing it, but it sounds like the first album is almost like a broader brush of like, here's some interesting things that that pique me, that make me want to, discuss them with you. And if you like a lot of these, now that you know me, just know that we might drill in deeper in any of these down the line. But for now, here's a cursory view of kind of what kind of rocks my boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I don't know what my first step is personally, whether it is like, am I interested in building toward an album or not? I don't know. But if I were doing a collection of things I care about, I don't really know at this point in my life what they reflect, because the jokes that I was writing 5, 6, however many years ago are not at all the same as the things I care about now. Some of them hint at it, right? Like I posted a joke. It alluded to the fact that my dad died. That was the only joke I had about that. I want to talk about it a lot more now, not because I have any issues related to that, but more like, honestly, some slightly darker ideas about like the benefits of losing a parent, right? That's what I want to talk about. And it's dark, but talking about the benefits of experiencing a loss and like, and going to that point, I don't know if recording a first album, if I were to bring out all those old jokes, I'd be like, hey, look at this. I hint at it. I'm like, no, if I'm going to go, let's go. I don't know. That's just, I'm thinking out loud.
As a comedian, I think you have to grow, right? You start out as this person, you cater to the room. At some point, you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then you also, while you're experiencing the profession, you're experiencing yourself. Like, who am I? What really makes me tickle?
Yeah.
What are the topics that I like? And putting aside the wanting to please everybody, what do I really want to talk about? What do I want people to take away when they go home, right? And so this is a journey to me. And if you would have asked me what are three topics that Josh Lanzet should talk about on stage, I wouldn't be able to tell you right now either.
Yeah. Well, listen, brainstorm and get back to me because I need to figure it.
No, I think maybe you're not there. If you don't feel it, I feel like maybe you're not there yet, but I feel like you're it feels like you're on a path. And we talked about being dark twice now. So maybe that's one of the things that's coming your way. But if I had to tell somebody about your stand-up, I would say you are being yourself on stage too.
Yeah.
You are this reflective person, talking fast, having all these like details that you're also weaving in, and it maybe feels more like wanting to trust that and trust the funny in that and in being you. Here I am being a German giving you unsolicited advice.
No.
Here
oh
we
my
go.
God, that is so funny. That brings us to our second segment. But the second segment you've kind of already done.
Okay.
The second segment is Teach Me Something. Where I have my guest teach me anything. It could take 5 seconds, could take 10 minutes, preferably not 10 minutes because no one has that attention span.
Yeah.
But you've taught me so much already. If you have anything left you'd like, a tiny little thing you want to teach me, please, by all means.
Do you know sign language?
Certainly not enough to get by in a conversation. I could say my name is Josh. That's all I have.
Oh, really? Did you know that sign language is different from country to country?
Okay, so I know that ASL is American Sign Language, and I assume the implication is that there's non-American. So German Sign Language and American Sign Language are not at all the same.
Yeah.
So do you know any sign language?
German sign language.
Okay, do you know it fluently?
A little bit.
Okay, so if I said my name is Josh in American Sign Language, it's not at all the same. Really?
My name is my name. Yeah.
It's this?
Yeah, name. And then you spell it out. ANNICK. I think the alphabet is...
The alphabet looked similar to me.
Yeah, but the signs are different.
How do you do double N? You do this? And that means two?
Mm-hmm.
You're kidding.
No.
I did not know that. I don't have doubles, but I would do...
Yeah.
So here, I'll put my mic down. I would do my name.
See?
This is name.
Interesting.
Is J-O... I'm sorry. J-O-S-H.
J is like that. We don't have that. That's funny. And what my German deaf friend taught me is American Sign Language is a lot about using the first letter of the word.
Yeah.
And signing with it. So it doesn't surprise me that this is N and then name is this.
Oh.
Yeah. Whereas German Sign Language doesn't care about that. I mean,
This
sure,
is name.
it's also N, right? In a way, name.
Oh. This
But-
actually makes a little more sense to me because like name is part of your identity. So you're almost saying like name because this is my face, this is my name. I don't know if that's how it came out to be.
Oh, there you go.
How did you... So you just
taught
learned
each
that
other.
because you have a friend...
I literally ran into somebody in a super cool bar in Berlin, and they were
kick our
and
club.
they were signing, and I always wanted to learn it because being gay, whatever, LGBTQ, I loved the idea that we all assume we're all the same, and then some people just aren't, and it's the same for hearing, that we all assume people hear because we do, and they don't. And I always wanted to learn it. They start signing. I'm like, oh my God, I want to be friends with this person.
Yeah.
And then I just literally walked over and I was like, I'm learning, sign language. And he's like, oh, and he starts signing. I'm like, no, I'm not there yet,
Could he read lips?
Yeah, he's really good in reading lips, and he has hearing aids. So with the hearing aids, he can actually hear 30%, which was so helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then he could teach me and we could talk. I loved it.
one of my favorite childhood memories. This is a really silly memory. I don't remember how it happened, but at school we learned very minimal sign language. Okay,
But I love that.
so like the "my name is Josh" thing, and I just showed you. I learned that when I want to say I was like 6 or 7.
Nice.
But that's all they taught us. But I thought it was really cool. So we went to this supermarket near where I grew up. I went with my mom. I was like, I drove the car. No, I was like 6 or 7. I went with my mother, and I saw a deaf woman in like I think she must have been talking to someone, because she was like talking to someone, and she was kind of like figuring out what egg she wanted, I think. But she was talking to someone, and I caught that she was deaf. Now, me being an idiot kid who doesn't know any better decides like, oh, I should just go up and talk to her, which is ridiculous because she's doing her own thing. What am I doing? But I go up to her as this like kid. I like leave my mom. I go up to her and I sign to her.
My name
is Josh.
I love it.
And she looks at me, and I hope this isn't offensive, but like she said, in her voice, she goes, Josh.
Oh.
And I was like enamored. I thought this was the greatest moment of my life because she said my name.
Yeah.
And I got so excited.
Yeah.
And then she signed to me and said her name. And I thought we nailed it. I was like, man, we did the greatest thing that's ever happened today. I got so excited, and I ran back to my mom and I brought her over to this woman and I said her name. And my mom goes, it's nice to meet you. And the woman was like, they were very nice and sweet, whatever.
Yeah.
And off we go. But like I told that story. I came home. I told my dad, I'm like, I met a person and my friend now.
Hero.
Yeah, I was like, I met someone. We communicated not in spoken English. We crushed it. I was so excited. I was convinced she was my friend. I thought I'd see her at the grocery store the next time we went. I was convinced. I'm like, this lady and I are best friends now.
That's hilarious.
But that is one of my favorite childhood memories, is from doing that.
You should talk about that on stage. I love that story, and it reflects on who you are. You're this, I know something. I'm going to show this.
Yeah.
And then it works. And then you're like, now we're best friends.
I know. It was the most, like in the hindsight, what an obnoxious thing to approach a stranger and just be like, I know 4 words,
Yeah.
But I was so excited.
Yeah, I get it.
Ugh.
Okay. Is there something you teach me too?
No. Is there something you want me to teach you? I feel like I have nothing to teach you.
What is one thing that you would teach me?
Oh gosh. One thing that I would teach you. This is a really small thing. I'm going to tell you something that I do that my friends think is crazy. But I truly believe in this. When you are doing something menial, some kind of task that is like really simple or basic, or that you take for granted, that involves another person that you don't know, ask them their name and recite it back to them. So for example, if you are buying a ticket for the train, right, and they help you. Oh, what was your name? Darius. Thanks so much, Darius. I really appreciate it. If you have a server, they come over, hi, welcome to wherever you are. Can I help you with a drink? You'd be like, what's your name? And they give you your name. And say, oh, I would like to, I'll have a whatever. I'll have a cup of tea. Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Amelia. Whatever their name is. Because as someone who has had a lot of jobs, I was a server, I was a bartender, I've done a lot of these things. It doesn't seem like a big deal to you. But those moments are moments of humanity that show that you are recognizing another person as a person, not as the person who sells you your train ticket, not as the person that serves you your food, but as another individual with feelings, a life, a story, and all of that. So I always tell people, if you have the opportunity when you are talking to someone to ask them their name and use their name in conversation, to me, there's no greater way to recognize the people that you encounter in your day-to-day, no matter how small, than to do something like that. So maybe that's not a great teach me something, but that is something I do that I always recommend to other people. And I think that it's a very easy way to make someone's day.
I love it. I hope it does make their day. I feel like sometimes it gets so, we get so jaded where we're like, thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it too. No, I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you too. Like it's like that.
Yeah.
But if I trust you on that one, I'll do it.
Listen, here's the thing. It's nice to do to someone else. And on a side note, like it'll make you feel good. because we go around this world, a lot of us, I'm not saying all of us, a lot of us go around this world and everything is incredibly transactional.
Yeah, that's true.
You make my coffee, I give you money.
Yeah. I try to do it with waiters for sure, because I was a waiter too. That's how I made my money during college years.
Yeah.
And it sucked.
I worked at Applebee's. It was
Oh,
awful.
I love it. I can see that though.
Oh, sure.
Welcome to Applebee's.
It was 2 for $20 deals. They were good.
All right. What's the next segment?
Okay. Well, let's take you to your final segment. The final segment is the lightning round. It's fast questions. Don't have to be fast answers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Question 1. What is a favorite ritual of yours? So mine is making tea. What would be a favorite of yours?
This is going to sound a little spiritual, but every day I try to remember to be thankful for 3 things. I have this gratitude journal that I have, and I try to literally sit down and go, okay, what are 3 things that you're grateful for? And I say them out loud.
Oh.
And then I try to really feel it. Not just,
is it in the morning?
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I usually do it in the morning, because it reminds you, and like it resets your mind of like, you know how much time you spend. This sucks, and this is shitty, and this problem.
I'm very good at that. Yeah.
And so I really try to do that, and it has changed my attitude. Like I had a flat tire the other day. I mean, the other day before pre-pandemic, after a show, I into a nail. This was in Fresno. And I'm like, fuck. And
that makes sense.
Yeah. And I wanted to go to a campground and sleep there. And I was like, no, with a flat tire, never. Like, I just pulled into the next driveway or on the street, and I slept in my car on the street. And I was like, fuck. And because of the gratitude journal, my first thing was, anyway, let me see if there's a tire, shop around. And around the corner, like right there was a tire shop that was going to open at 8 a.m. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. There's just one around the corner. And I went to the positive thing instead of being like, what the F? I have a flat. I can't, obsess about the negativity.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's one ritual.
I love that ritual. I wanna look into doing that myself. The singing out loud thing really gave it a nice touch to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2, what is a running bit you have with a friend or a partner that makes you laugh?
I have a best friend. She's in Germany. We were in Ireland once. We were driving the car, and we understood nothing of what they were saying. They were speaking Gaelish or whatever it's called. This language where you're like, I have no idea
Gaelic
what it is.
in Ireland is
really...
Oh,
that's the one.
My sister's name is actually of Gaelic origin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you think you understand, but you don't. And so we were listening to the radio, and of course we were understanding nothing. It was hilarious to us already. But they kept saying this thing where they go, and we were like, and that from that on, we would just like, because it sounds so ridiculous. So she would go, oh, we should get coffee, and I would be like, and she's like, and so we just keep doing that.
That's a good answer. I like that answer.
All right.
Question 3, can you do an impression of one or both of your parents?
Oh yeah, I used to do that, by the way. That's how I discovered I like stand-up. I would imitate my mom.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And we would have these, gatherings of like 30 years married, social gatherings. And I would perform stand-up in front of the crowd. And I would imitate my mom, and they would lose it. Because my mom is from Slovakia originally, and she has this thick accent, right? So when she talks, I can't really show you. Like when she speaks German, she has a Slovakian accent. And it kind of, when I do it in English, it kind of sounds like a Latina accent. But so here goes, right? Instead of saying, hi, my name is Maya, I'm from Germany, she would go, hi, my name is Maya, like that. I am from Germany. So like this, and it sounds weird. And I loved it, and I imitated her, and she hated it.
Oh, well, obviously. I mean, of course. But also, shout out to Maya.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Question 4. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, is there a particular moment that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I think we all do, don't we?
Well, listen, I live it every day. What is there any? But for someone like you who's like done a lot of cool stuff, is there any particular moment that kind of sticks out to you?
I feel like a lot of times during my job moments, I feel like I'm an imposter. So I'm a lawyer, right, by training. Yeah. And when people ask me, a lot of things, they're like, "Well, I want to look into, this privacy problem, and I'm sure, under Gleba, we can't do this and this and that. And I would be like, yeah,
For sure.
I know. And then I'd Google it.
Talking about Gleba, though. Yeah, I got that.
Gleba.
Yeah.
Oh, Graham Leach Bliley Act. Okay, Gleba. That's okay. Yeah. Of course I know, but like that. Sometimes, and I feel terrible, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My final question for you: What is your favorite tea?
Ooh.
Because for some people, I say, "What's your favorite tea or comfort?" If you don't drink tea, but I know you drink tea.
I do.
So, what is your favorite tea?
Obsessively, actually, every night. I'm a big fan of the yogi teas. I'm not gonna lie. I like the good old cardamom.
Ooh, lovely. Very nice.
Ginger, lavender, cinnamon stuff.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have. How do you feel? Good?
I love this.
This is so fun.
I know.
And let me just say this. I'm looking right down the barrel. Annick Adelle, go find that album. Get people over to the album.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. That was Annick Adelle. You can follow Annick on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Annick Adelle. Buy Annick's special Between Two Worlds on Apple Music or whatever platform you use for laughs. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping.